Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly, the bearded men of real estate. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Get it? Like iBuyer?
There, no, like iBuyer. That's thank you guys for tuning in. Please feel free to share it. Actually, the only way people on Facebook see it is if you share it, because there's no organic reach anymore. You can join us there on Facebook. You can join us on YouTube, just like Matt LaMarche has, or is that Malarche? He said, hey, much better here. He's also on Clubhouse, and we're having a couple of kinks on Clubhouse, which is terrible because I definitely am going to come to you guys. We're going to hold up the phone real close to the microphone so everybody can hear what you guys have to say, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But if you're on Facebook, you can also comment. We can display your comments on Facebook too. So thank you guys for joining us. Now, right up at the top, Dan, I think we should just kind of dive right into it. Dusty Martin, she's on Facebook. She says, "What up, bearded men?" Melissa Mara, she's on YouTube. She joined Clubhouse yesterday on the show prep show.
Yeah. And she did my favorite thing. She said water.
All
All
right. So I think there's some big news that we just need to address right up the top.
Okay.
And let me get the phone. Ready. We did the pre-show show yesterday, and after we did, there was some news that broke that I found. I actually reposted a story about it today, and this is probably some of the biggest news, probably I would say earth shattering.
Yeah.
It's this right here. I'm in Gunpao, South Korea. I found a guy in Montevo, Uruguay, the exact opposite side of the world. You're familiar with this, Dan?
Yeah.
Today we made an earth sandwich. There it is. There's the earth sandwich. Probably the biggest news story you guys heard yesterday, right, Dan?
Yep. I've been waiting for that one. I had heard about it through many different channels.
Yeah.
I posted about it, and there was a lot of posts about it. You posted a new reel about it today. So yeah, huge news.
Yeah, obviously huge news, which I know is the main reason why most of you are tuning in.
Yeah, I don't think anything else is
two slices of bread with a planet in between.
Yeah, and I don't think anything else is happening. So
it's probably the best sandwich in the universe.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. If anyone wants to comment about some of the other news that we have, like Zillow did a couple of things. Did you hear about that? There's just no big deal.
Well, Julie wants to know, can you first tell us who this Zillow is? Never heard of her. Yeah, same.
So I did post a reel about this. We're going to talk about, there's 3 different news stories, and we're going to unfold them as they were unfolded to us in real life. So the first one deals with Zillow selling 7,000 homes at a loss. Now, we talked about last week how they halted their iBuying operations until the end of the year. So that was the first story. Second story came out shortly after our show. I don't know why they wait until after our show to release these big news stories, but they do.
Always.
Zillow sells 7,000 homes at a loss. Then we had another story, what to watch for in Zillow's Q3 2021 earnings results, and had some really interesting take on how they started the year, what happened to them on social media, how millennials are starting to feel about Zillow. And then a news story broke yesterday that says Zillow to kill its iBuying program.
And
so we have a couple of different articles. What's the and?
And lay off 25% of its workforce.
Oh, yeah, and lay off 25% of its workforce. So one of the top things we're going to talk about today is the move that Zillow has made to shut down their iBuying operations, which if you've been tuning into the show for like the last year and a half, this is not like earth-shattering news. They've been losing money ever since they started, and we would try to come up with ways that, well, maybe they're trying to make money this way. Maybe it's trying to make money this way. And as a matter of fact, at the very beginning of the year, there was a news story in which one of their algorithm guys was on a weekend news show, and they said, well, what's the profitability of your iBuying program? He was like, well, we're not so concerned with profitability at the moment. Apparently they are now. Because they're stopping what they're doing. And we had people tuning in from all over the country saying, hey, I was about to take this listing, and then Zillow comes in and offers $30,000 over market value for it.
Well, remember the one agent? I forget who it is. I apologize, but she sold her own house. Zillow gave her more than she could get for her own house.
Yes.
She sold her own house to Zillow. And we've been saying over and over and over again, like how many times have we said it, Ray? Is this the canary in the coal mine? Is this the canary in the coal mine? Is this?
Yeah.
And now the canary is dead.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. That's a huge news story. I want to get a lot of input from agents around the country, people that are in the industry. It's very interesting. Also, we're going to talk about millennials and how they're going to make houses more expensive until builders get their act together. Is that Dan Ludwig headline there?
Yeah.
Or is that really what okay. Pending home
That's
sales.
the actual headline.
Oh, it is? Really? Wow. It
Wait,
sounded
why
like
is
something you
Christian
would say.
throwing shade at me. What?
Who?
Read the newest
Christian?
comment.
Good morning, gentlemen, and Dan. Oh yes.
I'm better than a gentleman. That's why.
Buddy.
I don't know. Hi, Christian.
Dave's in. What's up, Dave? He says Dave from Baltimore. Dusty Martin. I'm getting to a lot of these comments. Yeah, I had a video go live about Zillow and their data collection and iBuying, and then 2 hours later they announced canceling the iBuyer program. Ooh, buddy, did I get some hate mail? Pete Thorpe, he's back as himself. He's joining us on Facebook. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We want all of your hot takes. We're going to dive in. We'll probably cover those 3 articles, and then I'll ask you to come up and share what your opinion is, what your thoughts are. I'm going to have to hold the phone up to the microphone today, but hey, that's what we're going to do. I might be able to use this microphone. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
And bring up one more comment, if you will. Jose Cuartas.
Where?
Perfect.
Oh, there you go.
Look at it. So good.
Jose says, now I can laugh when someone says that Zillow says their house is worth more than my valuation.
LOL. They shut that business down.
Yeah. The algorithm is going to get you, actually. Hey, there's Natalie.
Algorithm's going to get you. The algorithm. No.
Natalie also joining us from 2 different venues, both Clubhouse and YouTube. So thank you guys for jumping on. Let's see. Oh, wow. See there. And we're going to get into more of this. Kathy said, my oldest son sold his house to Open Door recently for more than I thought he'd get on the market, and he closed in 2 weeks. So what are the repercussions for the industry? We'll have a little bit of discussion about that. Zillow's not the only iBuyer losing money in the marketplace. We're going to talk about the other iBuying programs who kind of, Zillow started late. It was Open Door. I think they were the first player, and then Zillow kind of came in and said, we're going to do it too. I can't remember if Redfin was before Zillow or not, but then there's other brokerages that started doing that. You remember the brokerages like Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, they started trying to do iBuying programs as well.
Well, wasn't there, which company was it that was solely iBuying? That's just what they did. They didn't
Isn't
have
the Open Door. I think it's
maybe it was Open Door. Yeah. Because they started first.
Yeah.
And there was another one I can't remember either, that was smaller, but they were that's all they did. They didn't really, they just bought. They were essentially a tech-based investor. What?
What are you talking about, Pete? We also have forbearance rate declines 2.15%. We'll get into there's actually not much to get into in that. It's just it keeps going down. And then Keller Williams is launching real estate schools. So we'll have a soft discussion about what that might mean for the big real estate giant. Christian Harris says, was it Fly Homes? I can't remember. A long time ago, man. We've been doing this show over 4 years now.
Yep.
And it's been a seller's market ever since we started.
I know we haven't had a normal market during the show.
I mean, we were kind of peaking we were going towards the seller's market, and we were all like, I can't last. It can't last. It can't last. Look, it's lasted.
And then Rona 2.1 and 2 hit.
Yeah, for real. All right. So Dan, I'm ready to get in the headlines, but before we do, would you tell people what this show is actually all about?
Purple bricks.
Bricks no longer in the United States.
We got them out. Thank you, Pete Thorpe. We literally kicked them out of the United States, and now we've taken down Zillow. We are good.
Yeah, send a message to James Rappert, Zillow Killer on Clubhouse.
Yeah,
send a message to him. I think he's Zillow Killer on Instagram too. I said, well, you did it. You killed the Zillow.
We did it. Yeah.
I think Zillow is going to be around a long time. And it's going to be interesting to see how the as Yvonne Arnold put it, how the remodel of their company is going to look, because we get to watch it live because they're a public company. So we'll see.
Well, Purple Bricks was a year ago, but they weren't iBuying. They were just discounting everything.
Yeah,
and
it
didn't work.
Discount.
Yeah, remember they came in. They're like, we'll do everything that every other realtor does for $3,500. Okay, just kidding. It's $6,500. Oh wait, okay, just kidding. We're gonna do a traditional model now, and then they left the country.
Mm-hmm. I think it was like 2 years ago, Dusty. Wasn't it 2 years ago? Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
All right, so
doing
tell
the
people
show.
what the show is actually all about, and then we could jump into these headlines.
And I haven't rewritten this yet. I need to rewrite
That's
it
fine.
for the new name This Week in Real Estate, hosted by the Bearded Man of Real Estate. But when I came up with the idea for the show, because I am in fact a Bearded Man of Real Estate,
Right.
and then I met Ray here on the interwebs 36 years ago, I think at this point. He was just a wee lad. But I noticed something very, very interesting about him.
Really, Dan? What was that?
He's afraid to jump out of an airplane in parachute. Did you guys know that?
Oh, I actually definitely am.
Same.
So I had a discussion about this. We went to Disney World recently, and I got a family and stuff. We went to Disney World recently, and I'm riding like all the biggest roller coasters. And Katie's like, "You're not, that doesn't worry you." I was like, "No, I used to when I was like a little kid. I was a little bit worried, but now I understand insurance, liability. Like they would never run this ride if there was an actual risk." So
that's how I think about them too, very logically.
Yeah, right. But if there's ever an instance in which I'm strapped to something that was probably made for people of average heights and weights, I'm not going to get on it. I'm not going to do it. Like those little bungee things, any bungee, any swing. Somebody's like, "Oh yeah, we packed your chute." I'm like, "Yeah, but did you account for the extra 100 pounds of mass that I am?" And they're like, yeah. No, I'm not. There's no way.
Well, and also
jumping out of a plane.
Someone else packed your life-saving device.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah. So anyway, I obviously noticed he's a beautifully bearded man, but what I really noticed that he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but just to humans in general. So the show is about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
There you go. And one of the things we think about being more, especially in the real estate industry, is to know what in the world is going on. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, just not only in the real estate industry, but how it affects consumers. And hopefully it'll give you a little bit of insight so that you can better help your clients make decisions about their properties moving forward. Matt LaMarche says, more banter. Don't skip the banter. Go Braves. Yeah, he snuck that in there.
By the way, let's save Jose's.
I saw that. I want to save Jose's comment.
And by the way,
come back to that.
If you don't like the banter, first of all, what's wrong with you? Second of all, Ray's going to tell you.
I should have probably told you before the banter. But if you don't like the banter, you can always go on the replay down into the description, and we'll have all of the headlines that we're going to cover with a little timestamp. And you click that timestamp, and you just zoom right to that part of the show. So maybe next time, as you're watching this live on YouTube, that's how to find like when are they going to finally get to the forbearance rate decline? Well, you just go down to the description. There's a little thing. You can also subscribe to the channel and then hit the bell, and you'll be notified when we take each one of these articles. We'll cut them up into what we call chops, which is kind of a play on words, given the facial hair thing. And those chops are just those individual stories, and we'll release those throughout the week too. So if you don't have time to catch the full hour, what's that guy? Larry King? Didn't he used to say that? The full hour? Anyway, if you don't have time to catch the full hour, then you could always catch the chops. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast too. I mean, we do this show, record the audio, and then we put it on a podcast.
The number 16 news-related podcast in the world, right? The world.
In the world of Taiwan. That is
in
true.
The world of Taiwan.
That is true.
And by the way, that may have gone down since this. We're talking about like 8 months ago.
I don't have an update on it. That's all. We're just going to leave it at that.
It's only gone up. But I do also have to say, because for those of you who love the banter, I want to keep bantering. But yeah, absolutely go Braves. Now, I'm proud of them because I did like the Braves back in the day. They had an amazing team. And my favorite anything player, not just baseball player, my favorite athlete of all time, this may surprise some of you, is Greg Maddux.
Oh, yeah, I love Greg.
I loved watching that guy. Smaller guy, kind of wore glasses, not super athletic looking, but that dude can do some things with a ball and put it wherever. He was amazing to watch. So I'm super happy for them as what?
What were you saying about Greg?
Huh?
What were you saying about Greg?
He can do whatever he wants with a ball.
He can put it where he wants.
He can put it where he wants. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm staying within the boundaries of it being a family-friendly show. But what I really want to point out is that anyone other than the Astros, anyone, and I apologize in advance, Ryan, but everyone hates your team.
There's a lot of people clapping that up. Actually, I think just Matt LaMarche, but there's a lot of people clapping it up on Clubhouse right now for that comment. But it just shows what you could do when you hide the trash cans. Ryan says, can we stop with the Braves talk? I'm recovering over here.
Yeah, and it was so weird.
It wasn't much of a recovery. You had like what, 6 innings to start that recovery process.
Yeah, it was bad up front, but it's so weird that your two best hitters don't hit that well when they don't.
They did not hit.
Cameras and trash cans being hit. It's weird.
There's going to be so much of that thrown around. All right,
so let's love you.
Yeah. As you say that, he goes dark.
That's
so when I was a kid, I lived in Carrollton, Georgia for 1 year of my life. It was my 4th grade year, and I was astonished by the love of the Atlanta Braves that Georgia had. And I tell this story, and people in Arkansas don't believe me, but they would stop school and everybody would go to the hallway and they would do the tomahawk chop together. Oh, yeah. Like the entire school would come out of their class and do the tomahawk chop and then go back to class. I don't know. That's a different world.
A big deal.
We don't have a pro sports team. Our pro sports team is the Arkansas Razorbacks, who's in college. So
you guys are like, wait, why are you stopping school to do? Okay, all right.
All right, we're done, Kathy. We're done. I promise. All right, so let's go to the headlines. You ready?
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry. I know it hurts. But hey, at least you have a team that A, made the playoffs and B, made it to the World Series. My team has the best players in baseball. They don't do anything. So
I think I have all of the cards of the Braves from 1995, by the way. But I don't think they're like, what, 50 cents a card these days? Oh, KK the realtor said, I'm dying over here. I don't even watch baseball. Well, good. Glad I can relate. Speaking of dying,
banter.
Yeah. Speaking of dying, let's talk about Zillow. I'm just kidding. They're going to be around for many years, y'all. Many, many years. All right. So there's 2 articles here. One's from Inman and one is from The Verge. But both of them talk about Zillow reportedly needing to sell 7,000 homes because they bought too many. So this was the first article that kind of broke. Was that this week or the end of last week?
End of last week.
All right. So this was the end of last week. Let me add this to the stream. Where'd it go? There it is. So Zillow reportedly needs to sell 7,000 homes after it bought too many. This report is on The Verge. Zillow is trying to offload $2.8 billion worth of houses onto investors after it sold them with the intent of selling them to hopeful homeowners and landlords, according to a report by Bloomberg. This follows another Bloomberg report saying the real estate borrowing website does stop buying houses. Yeah, we already covered that part. Yeah. So this was on Tuesday. They announced that its earnings report that was winding down the practice entirely. Oh, that jumps ahead. Okay, so they've already updated this article on The Verge, which is great. But
exactly. I was reading this. I'm all, wait, they jumped ahead on that.
I want to unfold it as it was unfolded for us. So we saw that article. We also saw. Let's go to the one on Inman. So they may have updated it too. A lot of people went back and kind of updated these articles that we were finding too. So the one on Inman said Zillow shooting for 7,000 home sales, $2.8 billion. I thought the targets were interesting. They were talking about targeting,
they're targeting
the institutional investors. In my previous analysis, this is who said this?
Well, isn't that who
Mike Del Preet? He wrote a post for Inman on October 25th. He says, in my previous analysis, I suggested that iBuyers can get into trouble if they overpay for too many houses in a cooling market. Strategic real estate advisor Mike Del Preet said this results in a growing inventory of overpriced houses that are difficult to sell, which is exactly the problem Zillow now faces. Now, I don't recognize that so much in our market, right? So let's pretend you don't know what happened, that Zillow pulled out completely of the iBuying homes. Whenever they were selling the 7,000 properties, I felt like they were just holding too much inventory and felt the need to offload it. I didn't like, because they were so stubborn about losing money in the practice entirely, I didn't feel like this was like a last straw. I thought this was just part of the strategy that, hey, they took these properties over. They made a lot of money off the properties by selling them.
Now it's time to
real
sell
estate
them.
agents. Now it's time to get rid of them. How
Yeah.
fast can they dump them? And then let's all, rinse and repeat, do it again. While they have one part of their company, it looks like they're losing money. The other part of their company is doing better than ever as they're making more referrals off of real estate agents from the properties they're listing.
Right.
But apparently that they were paying attention to the bottom line, to the chagrin of that analyst at the beginning of the year said they weren't paying much attention to how much profit they were making off of these at the moment. Yeah. They are now. Zillow's Phoenix inventory is currently priced at a median of $29,000 less than the buy price. This is a direct result of price reductions on 182 listings of an average of 41,000. Phoenix in the only market in which Zillow was listing homes at a price reduction. That's a huge reduction.
I didn't see that stat. That's amazing.
By the end of the day, Monday, Zillow shares had dropped 8.6%. So Zillow operates a little bit differently from some privately held companies because their number one priority is not necessarily to make a dollar, it's to satisfy shareholders. If you satisfy shareholders, more people put more money into the company looks more profitable because it's gaining. Their market shares continue to gain, so they make money that way.
That's kind of what I've been thinking, is that yes, stocks are going down at the moment, but if they make these changes and spin it into a positive, then more people buy stocks and the shareholders are happy again.
Right. And it seems like, to us, there were a lot of iBuying companies that weren't making money. They're not the only one. We were talking about several of them at the beginning of the year. Redfin, I think, wasn't even positive $1 until it was a year and a half into it. Wasn't that right?
Right. Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the next article that was released, and this one was on Inman. It says what to watch for in Zillow's Q3 2021 earnings. It kind of recants what happened at the beginning of the year. Now, after the announcement of home buying hiatus and potential loss on 66% of its housing stock, the company may be blaming it for less than stellar year projections during its Tuesday evening earnings call. I didn't realize that call was last night. The earnings call was last night.
Yeah, they were waiting until the second. Yeah, yesterday.
So they pulled the we're not iBuying and then had the call. That's interesting. Zillow offers continues to accelerate as we offer more customers fast, fair, and flexible, convenient way to move, he said in August. The program is providing attractive. That doesn't make sense. It's proving attractive. Sorry. The program is proving attractive to sellers, even in the sizzling hot sellers market. Consumers are starting to understand and take advantage of the reality that we now offer so much more. That was in August. That's 2 months ago. Now Zillow offers has become more of a thorn in the crown of the company. So the other interesting part, which I didn't really realize in this article, it talks about how Zillow launched. It says from SNL skit heaven to TikTok hell.
Yeah, that's funny that.
And I didn't really realize. I remembered the upside. I mean, I'm sure you guys remember the SNL skit that it was like a sleazy type dating service, right? In which these grown adults were like swiping and looking at houses to spice up their life.
The corners and being secretive about it. Yeah. Right.
And so I remembered that, and it went viral and it had millions and millions of viewers. But then Rich Barton even joined in the fun and said, wait, have we been marketing Zillow wrong all these years? However, 7 months later, social media sentiments about the portal switched from a cheerful to downright troublesome. In September, Las Vegas real estate agent Sean Gotcher, Gotcher, posted on TikTok claiming Zillow was artificially raising comps in neighborhoods for their own gain. He said, quote, what that just did was create a new comp, Gotcher said in the video. So when they go to sell these other 30 homes, that extra $40,000 that you could say this one just sold for $340,000 made them $1.2 million, did you see that TikTok as it was going around?
I didn't see that. I don't have that silly app, but
you got the silly app, man.
No, so I have the name on there. I have Dan Revolution as my name, but I'm not.
Oh yeah, you were doing like dance stuff, like actual dance stuff.
No, we did one. That was it.
So I saw that TikTok go around, and I saw other people using the audio from that TikTok and kind of reenacting the whole thing. So I saw that, but I didn't realize how many views he had and what a stigma it started to become for Zillow. And in this article on Inman, they said, although the real estate experts attempted to dispel Gotcher's claims, the video continued to circulate
but it kept going.
Circulate on social media with those who just laugh about the SNL skit and then chide the company for contributing to the worsening of affordability. Quote, got to stop using Zillow now. They're both collecting all of our data and running up the housing market. History expert and YouTube creator Joulzy, Joulzy.
Yeah, which I found her on Twitter and found the actual tweet.
I'd never heard of her. No offense, Joulzy, but the tweet has been shared over 40,000 times.
She has a good chunk of followers, but being shared 40,000 times is pretty rad. That's viral.
Yeah.
There you go.
So they really stepped in, I guess. But it wasn't. It's kind of funny because there was nothing ever came out that said it was proven to be true, and nothing came out that said it was proven to be false either.
Okay, now can I? There's two things that I want to say. So when if you go into escrow and you're helping someone purchase, right? Let's say they offer $300,000 on a house, and they have 20% down, and then they have reserves. So let's say there's an appraisal issue of $10,000 that appraises at $290,000. They cover the difference, right? So now the house still looks like it closes at $300,000, even though it only appraised for $290,000, right?
Yeah.
So that's a comp of $300,000, even though the house is only worth per that appraisal as $290,000. Right. And I am playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but what's any different about that than buyers covering an appraisal gap, which a lot of buyers are doing right now?
Well, it's one instead of many.
Okay.
That's the difference, is that one buyer doesn't control the market. It's the buyers that control the market.
Which obviously they're bigger and they bought a lot of properties.
Right. And where Zillow was kind of getting in trouble is the unproven thought that people had that Zillow was so big they could buy a whole neighborhood, then they buy one more expensive, then they can sell that whole neighborhood more expensive. And because they have all the data, knowing where everyone's looking, they could target specifically the hottest market, the hottest neighborhood, the hottest street.
And I'm not saying there's not something to it. I'm just playing devil's advocate to say, hey, buyers have been covering appraisal gap. They're actually writing appraisal gap coverage. It's tough to say into offers. Like, hey, we'll cover this much or whatever. So I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit, but I'm not. It's also very tough to say that there was some nefarious plot. Like, here's what we're going to do. Because we kept going towards, they don't care if they overpay because they're going to make 50 grand on overpaying by 20 because of all the advertising and selling leads to agents,
referrals and
all that stuff. But
I was convinced that was their play. And because it didn't make sense to me, being a business owner, that someone would just try to lose money. So I was convinced that was they didn't really care about the bottom dollar there because they're making so much on the referrals, but maybe not.
Hold on, where's that stat? I found it. So
speaking of stats, Matt LaMarche is giving us some TikTok stats. He said on the talk, there's been 95,000 shares of that TikTok, 19 videos created with a sign, 19K, 512 likes.
Videos. Wow.
Yeah, not 19 videos, 19,000 videos, 512 likes. Perception is reality these days, says Lisa Perk.
So of those 7 in that one, they're trying to sell those 7,000 houses. They're estimating that they're going to sell them at about a $500 million loss.
Yeah. Ryan Bokro says appraisers know 100% when institutional investors are the ones buying up significant shares of the market, and they do not typically like it. Yeah, as a matter of fact, they won't use a lot of them as comps. Right. I had one appraiser tell me that. I'm not going to say a lot of appraisers. I had one appraiser say, nope, I'm not going to use that as a comp. It was purchased by an institutional investor. So, okay. Robert says we had Zillow house in Tucson that dropped from 360 to 280. Completely bananas. Wow.
Oh, I thought he was saying completely comedy guy steps on banana and falls. I thought that's what he was saying with those.
Slapstick, completely slapstick.
Yeah, completely slapstick is what I thought.
Julie Mead says, "You don't think good business practice involves losing money each month?" It didn't.
A lot of money.
I was trying to. Well, somebody buys a billboard and it costs them $3,000 a month. You can say, well, they're losing $3,000 a month, but they're getting so much in advertising off that billboard, they continue to buy it.
And we do have a source on this, and I don't want to say her name because she mentioned someone else, but
yeah, and don't mention the company's name either.
Yeah, I don't want to mention any of that. But she has info that that Zillow is going to take 6 to 9 months, not 69 months, 6 to 9 months to kind of wind this whole thing down. So that's a lot of losses over a long period of time.
Well, I think they have. I mean, if they were to put everything on the market now, it would flood it with inventory, and then their prices would go down even further.
Right.
But that's interesting that they own so much inventory that they're feeling the market move. I mean, that's a huge advantage in itself, is just to be able to say, wow, we were selling things at a increase, and then 1 month later, and now it's even. Now a month later, now it's going down.
Yeah.
There must be more inventory hitting. There must be fewer buyers in the market. Something is shifted.
Well, what we always say is if you're a listing agent and you control the listings, you control the market, right?
Yeah.
So they have a lot of them. You want to go back up to Jose's comment?
Yeah, I think it's a good time for that now. And then we'll cover the last article here. I also wanted to mention before I get to Jose's comment, CoStar.
Yeah, the CoStar conundrum, right?
Yeah, CoStar said that they were hijacking listings, acting like a mob, all kinds of stuff, but then said that they weren't really targeting Zillow specifically. CoStar also buys HomeSnap, says they want to be a direct competitor with Zillow, but not really go after Zillow. But they're going to compete directly with them by giving a better option for consumers and real estate agents.
And what does it say? Your listing, your lead. That whole theory behind it.
Yeah. All right. So that was the final, not the final article, but that was the second article that came out. Before I get into the third, we can go up to Jose's comment here.
And Pete had one too. I didn't read it because it's Pete, but he had a comment.
So he says, what do you think of this post? He says, what do you think of your estimate now? For me, there's nothing more frustrating than completely nailing a listing presentation, then hearing, well, Zillow says my house is worth more. Funny thing is that they most likely use the same algorithms to value their thousands of property purchases. Both purchases of homes and ARV after repair value of the same. Over the last 3 years, and even in today's still appreciating market where the home prices continue to rise, Zillow, oh no, it cuts off.
It cuts it off.
But basically, he's saying that you can use this article as an opportunity for you to illustrate to people how algorithms can't beat people.
Right.
And they relied on the algorithm, and they even said that there's too much unpredictability and what was the term, volatility in the marketplace for the algorithm to be able to accurately predict home prices and the after repair values they need to make the program work for them.
Okay, but the only thing I want to say to that is that there was a period of time from May of last year until earlier this year where people would say, but Zillow says, and we go, all right, let's try Zillow's price. And we would likely get it unless it was off by, because we're 20% up as far as gains go over the last year. So yeah. Zillow wasn't that far off. And it's not necessarily that Zillow's been right this whole time, but for a while it was like, all right, well, let's try it. I would say, sure, let's go. I think Bokros said it the best when it was all happening a year ago. Like, let's try it. Let's try that price and see what happens. And if we're wrong, we'll adjust it down. But this is the time to try that. And a lot of times this estimate, and then going back to the story I told you about the actual realtor, that they're like, they're going to give me another 30 grand for my house. I'm stupid not to take that. And then Ray's strategy, which I've used a couple of times because of Ray, thank you, Ray, is list the house, get the contract signed, list the house. The first offer you bring them, see if Zillow's in your area and have them offer on the house, and then go to any other sources. Then say, here's what I could get here, or we can go on the open market and get this.
Yeah. You know what? Well, I guess we should cover the next article before I say who's going to really benefit from them pulling out. But this is the third and final straw, I guess you could say, that we found. Can you see that? I can't see. Okay, yeah. Sorry, producing live here. Zillow kills its iBuying program. It announced Tuesday that the company is exiting the iBuying business. A mind-boggling about face that the company completely changes Zillow's business model and will result in the loss of about 1,605 jobs. All right, hang on. it's not a complete change of Zillow's business model. They had one that was making like 400 million. They had another one that was losing 400 million. Which one should we do? Should we advertise to consumers and then send those referrals to real estate agents? Yeah, that seems like the business model that's currently working.
And it has been working for a long time.
And they're still doing that. So it's not a complete change. But anyway,
they're just cutting off. Yeah. And I'm going to play devil's advocate, by the way, when we get done with this.
The wind down of Zillow offers suspected to last several quarters, which we also talked about, and we have insider information. That's exactly what they're going to do. Barton said they didn't specify beyond the percentage how many people might lose their job in the earnings report. Zillow reported brutal net income loss of $328 million in third quarter, mostly due to the $421 million net loss before taxes. Wow. The company reported $1.73 billion in total revenue.
So let's see.
68% of that total came from Zillow offers.
So Lisa says it good for their corporate taxes, carry over losses for years.
Yeah. However, Zillow, and which also is good for their stock, and laying off people is good for your stock price too. Let's see. I'm going to kind of fast forward. They acknowledge that they were unable. This is the quote from Barton. He did acknowledge that the Seattle-based business has been, quote, unable to accurately forecast home prices, with Zillow offers unit economics swinging approximately 1,200 basis points from Q2 to an expected negative 500 to 700 basis points in Q4.
Wait, it's just hitting me. And maybe I'm late to the party on this, but their own model for estimating homes, Zestimates, is now biting them in the butt.
Yeah. And this is the marketing opportunity. Zillow's CEO, Rich Barton, acknowledged the Seattle-based business has been unable to accurately forecast home prices.
Yeah, that's
that's a terrible quote.
Yeah, and then Ryan Bocros, I don't know if he's making this up or this was actually from the earnings call, but he says, quote, we determined the unpredictability in forecasting home prices far exceeds what we anticipated.
Which is why it's unpredictable.
It's
but
CEO,
okay.
Yeah, that's so.
Oh man. All right. Because of the home price forecasting volatility, we've had to reconsider what the business might look like at a larger size.
Well, okay. Millar
so he's a co-founder. He's been around a long time.
Millar says that he'll miss the Zestimate. They're not getting rid of the Zestimate.
They're not getting rid of the Zestimate. Maybe they should, but they're not.
They're just not buying houses at their own estimated value.
Dusty Martin said the hilarious part for the last 24 months is that every time I list a house, they change their estimate to my list price.
So remember when Clayton, a great contributor, so remember when he went through the process, he's like, dude, if you can give me that for my house, I'll take it. Went through the process, the estimate changed once he signed up.
And the fees and the remodel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they did still buy showing time. The purchase triggered a Federal Trade Commission inquiry regarding Zillow's array of agent and consumer data. Did that ever go through? Does anyone have any info on that? If that actually closed and went through?
Did Zillow close on showing time?
No. The way you're talking about who
Zillow Group closes acquisition of showing time. There you go, October 1st.
Okay, so it did close.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if they keep it. If the call was difficult for Barton, it was also tough for analysts. This is another quote from the Housing Wire article. It was also tough for analysts used to congratulating the CEO on a job well done and asking often technical questions. One analyst after another politely asked Barton how he could reconcile closing Zillow offers with prior quarter statements. In other words, what we were talking about in August, like, oh, this is going great, and then not so great.
JK.
Igal Ararin, Ian. Sorry, I know. Sorry, of Wedbush Securities. That's a I can't say his name, her name.
Okay. I'm not reading along, so I don't know what you're trying to say.
There's a quote, and I wanted to get their name out before I got the quote because I think it's funny. So this is one of the analysts that was politely, talking to Rich about these statements. Quote, the way you're talking about Zillow offers is a little different from the way you talked about it in the past.
That's so nice.
Yeah, that's such a nice way to phrase that. Which good on them, because they got to get the information, but they have to do it in a way that doesn't insult the CEO and make them hang up.
Yeah, you can't insult the CEO of the company you're trying to get info from.
They referred back. He always referred back to his opening statement, saying it has a lot more potential as an asset light business. So in other words, they might still do it here and there, but they're not going to grow it and expand it like they were thinking.
Now, can I play devil's advocate a bit? Because I know we need to move on.
Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah, we're going to play devil's advocate. We're also going to get to some comments. We're going to get to the YouTube comments you guys have been talking about, and I want to try to bring up some Clubhouse folks and hear what they have to say too. I'll just hold it real close to the microphone.
So they already, we already said on the show they weren't the first to do this iBuying thing, but you can't. They're a tech-based company that's really trying to push the limits. They started with the online search portal, and then they've grown since 2007, right, Ray?
Right.
So they've been changing the industry. They've figured out how to sell our own leads back to us. And I'm not supporting any of this, so it may sound like I'm having their back, and it's always tough to do that. But in all those lawsuits, I feel like I always had their back. My cat's walking around my cables, so there you go. So if everything turns off, you know why. But you can't be a trailblazer without breaking a few eggs, right? Like maybe things don't work, but when they look back on it, they're going to say, hey, we changed a lot of things. We literally changed how people find homes, search for homes, how realtors get leads. They've changed a lot of things. So maybe this thing didn't work out. Obviously, they're going to lose lots and lots of money, but I kind of just changed my thinking about it because we do bash Zillow a lot, and I get that. But I kind of like to change my thinking on things. I
don't really bash Zillow a lot. I think a lot of agents bash Zillow a lot, but I think there's a place for them in the market.
Well, that's what I meant. I meant we as agents bash Zillow a lot, not we as a show necessarily. But in my opinion, hey, they really tried to do something. Yes, they overextended. Yes, they missed the mark quite a bit. But you can't kind of push the limits like they're trying to do without, having some fails, and it's going to be some major fails.
Yeah. Dusty Martin with a good point. She said, here's a wrench in the engine. What if they just buy Open Door or OfferPad? Why reinvent the wheel at a loss when you can buy?
Yeah, they already bought Showing Time.
Well, I don't think Open Door has had profitable quarters either. We've talked about them in the past. I'm not sure about OfferPad. I can't remember, Open Door and OfferPad. I may be getting them mixed up. But I'm going to look it up. I think Open Door losing money, one of the top Google searches.
I mean, you got to remember, kind of their model is it's what an investor would do. If I was an investor, I'd try to buy a house for less than market value and fix it up and then sell it for more than market value or at market value. You can't be sustainable and buy things at market value and resell them. It doesn't work that way. In theory, they provide a service for people that want to, however they sell it, the ease of selling a house with all the hassles. But then when you really get into it, there's lots of different fees and
August 11th, 2021, Housing Wire. Open Door ramps up, but loses $144 million.
Oh, and this isn't a branch of their business, right?
No, this is all they do. Company CEO Eric Wu says Open Door has had an outstanding quarter, and that iBuying will one day make up a majority of home sales. I mean, yeah, if you're willing to, who wouldn't sell a house to someone who's willing to overpay,
right,
and then undersell it on the market? You're going to buy from them and you'd sell from them. Yeah, this is the
thing with Zillow is, like we've said, they're just going to market these properties and make money back in other ways. Like right now, they're getting publicity. I think Pete said it in his comment earlier. They're getting all this publicity and press about this. People are going to go to Zillow oh yeah, I forgot about Zillow, and they're going to go search thing, so they're going to make money off it. But when OfferPad and Open Door, if it's your only business model, all
right, I'm looking up Redfin now. Well, the most recent news story I have from March 11th. So Pete
says Redfin lost money for 7 years. WallStreet funding is practically limitless when they think they can get an edge in a market and get paid down the road.
So, and we could talk about that a little bit too. I think Main Street real estate agents saw this coming a long time because, we're boots on the ground, we see overpaying, we see properties compared to the other properties on the market, not even being up to average as far as the adequate amount of fix-ups, quote unquote, they did to prepare it for the market, and yet they're trying to gain so much more than what they paid for the home, and they overpaid for the home in the first place. So that was the basic problem. It's the same problem of any investor. They're buying a home and they overpay for it. Then they don't put enough into it to get what they need out of it on the open market, but they try to list it for that top tier price. They wind up sitting on the market a long time. As I tell my clients, what would you do if I showed you a property that had been on the market a while and reduced? What offer would you make? And they're like, well, we just throw them whatever. So with the rest of the market, that's the same. Like, that's nothing new. That's the same strategy that failed investors have done for years. So the basic problem was that they were relying so heavily on the algorithm and not a real estate professional who was taking them through. They could still do offers. They could still do that, but they should probably hire a real estate professional to do the evaluation for them, to represent them as a seller.
It's going to slow down Zestimates quite a bit.
It's would you like a Zestimate of your home? Click here. And then like we show
essentially it's a BPO. Yeah.
But that's still an opportunity for them in the marketplace if they're trying to find a way to invest in real estate, because that's what whenever they started doing the iBuying, and whenever Open Doors started it, whenever Redfin started it, the news, you remember all the headlines were like iBuying to replace real estate agents. And we're like, no, these are competitors for investors that are in the marketplace. These are not competitors for real estate agents, because our clients will always have the advantage. They will always sell for more. They'll always hit the market more prepared. They're always going to be able to purchase at a better rate because they have the representation that's solely focused on them and not using a computer or an algorithm. So this is not new news. It's just catching Wall Street by a shock. Yeah. It's not catching the Main Street real estate agents. We're not shocked.
No,
it's Wall Street that's shocked. All right.
By the way, Pete, I did read the first sentence of your comment, and then I stopped reading. So I did read a portion of your comment.
There. All right. Wall Street funding is practically limitless when they think they can get an edge in the market and get paid down the road. Yeah. All right. Maria Script. They want to have end-to-end touch consumer experience in real estate. Yeah, for sure. Which that's fine. I think they can do, but for the valuation of a property, purchasing of a property, they probably need to hire a real estate professional to help them in that process. I don't think you can just click a button and buy a person's largest investment or sell a person's largest investment and successfully cover all the same things that a real estate professional would actually cover. Now, what's interesting is like the FHA. No, it's not FHA. The FHFA.
FHFA.
Yeah.
Federal Housing Federal Association.
So they've now gone, and we covered this. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? They've gone to desktop digital appraisals.
Yeah.
Basically, using appraisers and computers. And SCAP was like, this is not a good idea. SCAP is a appraiser.
Hey, by the way, before we go on, if you're on Clubhouse and you want to speak, make sure you have something in your profile that says you're a real estate agent. If you don't, we're not going to let you speak.
And speaking of speak, we should probably, which I'm going to see if I can get this loud enough so that people can talk through Clubhouse.
Just don't let Ryan talk. He's just going to talk about the Astros. We don't want that.
He's so good looking, like Dale Earnhardt.
I know.
All right, let's see who's up first.
Even.
Anyone want to flash your mic and say something about the Zillow? Everybody's running to their phones now. They were doing research.
I know, they're like, just these guys need to stop.
All right, well, Ryan, you want to say something now? Yeah, here he is.
There he is. You guys roast me in. You roast me in. I have a lot of thoughts, but I think one of the main things that we should, as Main Street real estate agents, one of the main things that we should keep in mind here is that Zillow has given us a lot of firepower now. Dan, you brought it up earlier with the Zillow, and hey, let's try it. Now there's no reason to let's try it because we've received some pretty solid proof that the algorithms don't necessarily work. And if Zillow, if I was a real estate investor and I was losing $140 million a quarter on my real estate investments, would you as a consumer trust me with your real estate investment?
Well, no.
Great point. Especially when it's your own investments and you're using your own data that you then claim that they can turn around and use.
Yeah. If I was your financial planner and I was losing you that much money over that quarter of, that amount of time, you would fire me.
Good point.
Relying on and using this information that's coming from algorithms and from Wall Street and investors, if you will, to set any precedence for what we do inside of the market as a real estate consumer. Better yet, how do you
hang on. Oh, sorry.
To advise you in the best way possible and still hold on to my fiduciary duty of making sure that your interests are numero uno, right? So anyway, I think to me, that's one of the biggest and best things, the piece of ammo that we have as on the street real estate agents now. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I went for a run.
It's okay.
We as real estate agents on the street, this is the biggest piece of ammo that we have going for us now when it comes to a conversation about, one, what Zillow was paying for homes, and two, what Zillow and other analytical appraiser type, Zestimate things that are out there. This is proof positive that the local guys and gals in the business are we have value here, and we have proof that those, who is it? It might have even been Pete. Somebody's Twitter handle is Zillow can't smell cat pee. Or something.
Yeah, very true.
That's great.
I think we have an opportunity here to go back to some of those talking points and really show that your local real estate agent is indeed the expert. We can use numbers and data, but there's still that aspect of the numbers and the data can't smell the cat pee in the house, right?
Zillow can't smell cat pee. Who's going to put that on a shirt and sell?
Yeah, or the crazy neighbor with the bunker built in his backyard next door.
That's so good. Well, thanks, Ryan, for popping up. Thanks for your comments, man. I think I completely agree. There's a whole bunch of comments on the YouTube, too, as you were talking, that they were chiming in saying, yes. Pete Thorpe also said, Ray, we can hear him. No need to contort. But contorting was fun. But I think people agree with you hands down. Marie Script said, hey, no, I sold the cat pee house. Yeah, I think
I think we all have, but we sold it for the market value. We didn't inflate it because we actually smelled the pee.
She's going to make the t-shirt. All right. Robert says it looks like Open Door is changing their business model as well. They're hiring buyer's agents and offering listing appointments for those agents from sellers that do not want to sell to Open Door. So this brings up the elephant in the room that I wanted to talk about today. One of the things that happened as Zillow began to grow across the country with their iBuying is that they opened brokerages, and I think all 50 states. I could be wrong, but I think it's all 50 states. And as they did, they hired employees who were licensed real estate agents. And they said, we're only going to use them for our iBuyer/offers program. That we're not trying to be a competing broker with real estate agents in the marketplace. We're simply doing this so that we can better serve those people that are interested in the iBuying program. So what's going to happen to them now? Are they going to, is that part of the 25% of the workforce that'll be fired? Are they going to utilize them in a different way? Are they going to have Zillow brokerages and hire to try professionals? Like I said, instead of using a professional like one of us, are they going to try to hire their own professionals to then do this, quote unquote, the right way? What do you think is going to happen? Dan?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with them?
With who? With Zillow?
No, with the agents that they've hired, the brokerages around the country.
They're still going to keep doing that. I mean, it's still the same model.
But for what? But for what? They said that they were only for the Zillow offers.
They said that, but it's just like Open Door. They're still going to be they're still a brokerage somewhere. They're still going to put signs in yards. But they're just going to be more of a traditional model. Because remember who was the last CEO that said, no, we're not coming after the agent. No.
A traditional model for Zillow? You really think they're going to risk that?
So what are they going to do? Just shut them all down? Just shutter all these brokerages?
But a traditional model, Zillow with a traditional model reeks of not having anything innovative or new.
No. I don't mean traditional model. I mean have a physical agent out there to reply to these, instead of, you don't have to go by the Zestimate anymore. We'll send an agent to your house. You got our Zestimate. Now you can have an agent be at your house tomorrow afternoon at 5.
But how far do they want to take that when they could just get the referral? Because that's what I think they're going to do, is that they're going to shutter operations as brokerages. They're going to keep assigning broker principal in all 50 states who's a member of all the MLSs, so that they can scrape the data now that they're members of the National Association of Realtors. And then they're going to send referrals. And so I think the news story is going to be like, hey, we did let go of some of those agents, but we're keeping all the brokerages only to use our Zillow Flex program, in which we send referrals everywhere.
All right, but they're going to have to get rid of. So we're going to wait for a story that says Zillow cuts out 57% of its agent force.
Yeah. Zillow fires agents, but maintains brokerages for referral program,
which is what Brian's saying. They can't shut the agents down. They now rely on the IDX for their data. Have to have a broker to get that IDX feed. But that doesn't mean, Ryan, that they can't shut down the agents. They can shut down the agents, just not the broker.
Right. They can't. They have to maintain that principal broker. Maria's script says Flex gives them a way to charge a nice big referral fee. That's what I think so too. And honestly, I think that's a better model, a way better model than the iBuying.
Having an agent working for Zillow, they can flex it to an EXP agent or whatever, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just think it's
so they burn the bridges though with a lot of big teams. Dusty Martin says, hey, they pair with teams, but they made themselves a brokerage to get MLS access. I think they will try to pair with teams, but they really burned a lot of brokerages when they entered into certain markets and basically got rid of a lot of the big teams, doing something different with their offers program and things like that. So I want to see what's next. I want to see what's the next innovation, because there's a lot of room to innovate in the real estate process. There's a lot of room to give tools to real estate agents to make our jobs easier. And a big company like Zillow has the money to do it. Well, they did before they
lost 500 million.
But if they really did partner with, they have the dot loop, they have the showing time. If they made an all-in-one shop for real estate agents who handle way more transactions than an individual consumer, then I think that's the play. But an individual consumer, on average, they sell one property every 5 to 7 years. So why wouldn't you target the real estate agent who even the bad ones sell like one property a year? It's still 5 times more than a regular consumer. So why wouldn't you target agents doing a much higher volume, and willing to pay a big time referral just to get into the tech, to get in and use the tech?
But did iBuying burn a lot of bridges? Because now I want to go back to Pete's comment. I know he said I didn't read it, so I'm going to read the whole thing now.
Okay.
Zillow just got millions of dollars in free advertising by all of the agents posting about it, what we're talking about. And they are burning up the phones to agents offering crazy discounts and squeezing other markets with the Flex program. The very agents wanting them to die are the ones that keep them running by infusing them with cash. Lots of cash for leads, because like it or not, the public still sees them as competent and associates them with the real estate more than realtors. Thanks, NAR.
Well, and a lot of what he said is true. And like it or not, you could still give them $1 and get back 3 to 4, depending on your marketplace. So, how many times would Pete give me $1 if I told him I'd give him $4 in return? He'd do that as much as possible. Yeah. And that's the conundrum, is that they're making money off of most agents not returning calls and not having a presence in the marketplace. And there are clients there to get. Pete Thorpe, it's dog and dot loop. It's okay. It's not the best. All right, so let's move on from Zillow a little bit and talk about the number one users of Zillow, Millennials. Now
we haven't blamed them for anything in a long time. It's nice to be back.
And this is on one of those that I turn off my ad blockers and it still doesn't want to work. So let me see. This one might work. Hang on. Is it working? Can you see it?
No. Yep. There you go.
Oh, that's a different one. Hang on.
Nope.
I'm almost there. Almost there here. All right. So this one says millennials are going to make houses expensive until builders can get their acts together. Basically, this article is from Business Insider, and Dan, this is the first chance that I've had first time that I've had a chance to read it, in which removing my pop-up blocker finally worked. They have we've only seen the beginning of the millennial housing demand. That's the prediction of Dana Peterson, chief economist and at the nonprofit The Conference Board, who wrote about how millennials are driving today's housing frenzy in a recent article, Forbearance. Oh gosh, pop-ups. After spending years struggling to save for a down payment thanks to the fallout of the Great Recession and the mountain of student debt, the generation has finally reached peak for home ownership as most of them enter the precarious stage of their 30s. All right, so I think that's the general gist, is that millennials are wanting more homes, right? Am I missing anything there?
No, I didn't really.
You still couldn't see it. Sorry, I had the wrong article up there. Well, it's Producer Matt, if you could go to that article and just insert that later so that people that watch the chop can see the real article. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, and I didn't really pull much from that article. I just think it's interesting because we've mentioned it a bunch on the show. Logan Matashami from Housing Wire there mentions this is the biggest buyer pool that will be coming of age. There you go. Over the next, I think he says 2022 to 2026.
Yeah, he's continued to say that the demographics are strong for home buyers and home ownership. And for selling, there's still lots and lots of equity wrapped up into people's homes, even if you have one of the nation's largest buyers exiting the market. So, I think there's still a lot of buyers who will be there, including institutional investors. So I think they've only barely scratched the surface. Julie, she says she's got a comment. Julie, are you there? Can I come to you? It's probably about the Zillow thing, which is fine. It was 3 minutes ago. Julie, are you there? No. Okay. She texted me and said, I have a comment.
I'm so sorry. I left my phone because we were off of Zillow. It was on Zillow. So
okay, that's okay. Producer Matt will reinsert this piece of audio into the right part for the chops. So go ahead. What is your comment on Zillow? Sorry.
Well, my comment is, do you think that they're going to change? I just lost a really large listing this week because I know that the property wouldn't sell over 430, and honestly, there was tons of data to back that up. Zillow had them at 460, and they provide those comps, but the comps were just like, they were ridiculous. They didn't even make sense. And do you think with this change that those estimates are going to become more in line and they won't be so inflated for them to take market share?
No, I mean, I think the primary reason why they have those estimates is to drive more traffic to their agents. And I think that's what they're going to be saying. Like, are you curious if this estimate is accurate? You should ask your agent and use one of these Zillow agents in which they get 35% referral fee off of. So I don't think they're going to get rid of the Zestimate. I think they're just going to use it maybe differently. They used to, y'all remember when they had a rating? Yeah, they used to have a rating on the Zestimate that would tell you how confident they were in it. I think now it's just going to be a disclaimer. I think they're going to have to do that because so many agents, like for instance, you, Julie, now you can take the quote from that article and it's a quote from the CEO of Zillow saying that their estimates are wrong. And I would just put that in a text and say, hey, did you guys see this? Like, I know you're really relying heavily on that estimate, but they did, and they lost billions of dollars. So
I mean, it's I don't think it's going to change. It'll still be there. It's just, we've always known they're wrong, and there's been memes going about it for 7 years,
Yeah. There's a lot that Zillow does right, and getting the consumer's attention and having a nice web search portal and where they place the listings and how they put them on there and the advertising, the information that they gather. There's a lot that they do right that real estate agents should have done a long time ago. and they cornered the market in offering consumers information that was behind not necessarily a paywall, but a relationship wall that you had to use a real estate agent to find out that info.
Yeah.
They've exposed that info, and I think for the better. But now when they departed from that original business plan and started trying to become a real estate investor using the data that they were gathering, they figured out that a lot of their data is only as good as those who input it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those who input it are the same ones that were keeping this stuff to themselves. So I have people all the time that's like, hey, I read that on Zillow that this house was on a septic. I'm like, no, it's in the middle of a neighborhood. Well, can you get something from the seller saying that it's not on septic? I'm like,
no.
Yeah, I mean, I can. So I get a text from the seller and screenshot it and say, here, the seller said it's on city water and city sewer. Like, but they trust Zillow more. They trust Zillow that in the middle of the city, in the middle of a neighborhood, that this one house in a neighborhood is on septic, and they don't want a septic in the neighborhood. So they want me to get verification that we're right and Zillow's data is wrong. So that's the kind of stuff that we deal with all the time. And until Zillow can weed that stuff out, which I don't think is ever, there's a limit to how accurate not only there's estimates, but also property information can be.
Everything.
It's where that limit exists, real estate agents enter in. That's the gap that you can fill to provide additional value that they can't possibly do. Sorry, I cut you off, Dan. Maria said, ditto, had the same thing happen with a septic tank. What is that?
in the middle of a planned development in the middle of a city.
But what's funny is it goes back to the article we're just talking about millennials. That's the number one user of the Zillow are a lot of the millennials. And it's funny how much stock they put into Zillow over a professional real estate agent.
Well, but there are some real estate agents, you mentioned the TikToks earlier. There are some real estate agents that are killing it because they go there and they post funny things and they earn that trust. So then they bridge the gap between, being techie and being not on TikTok like myself,
right?
And they figure out how to get business from it. Same with Reels and Instagram and all that stuff.
Okay, let's jump to the next article. Pending home sales fall unexpectedly in September, likely due to higher mortgage rates.
I mean,
Okay.
I only have one thing on this. Unexpected?
I mean, mortgage rates go up and you expect home sales not to fall? When the same articles are like mortgage rates are going down, home prices or homes are expected to fly off the shelves. All right, let's get back to it. I don't know who it's unexpected for. It was definitely expected as mortgage rates increase, there will be fewer people take advantage of low interest rates and purchase. Pending home sales, which are a measure of signed contract, they fell unexpected 2.3% in September compared with August. And as we're predicting slightly more gain. Sales were 8% lower compared with September of 2020. Pending home sales are a forward-looking indicator. Let's see. I'm looking for the actual numbers here. Contract transactions slowed a bit in September and are showing signs of a calmer home price trend as the market is running comfortably ahead of pandemic activity. Ooh, I should have said pandy. That's Lawrence Yoon. He's the NAR's chief economist. It's worth noting here that there will be less inventory until the end of the year compared to the summer months, which happens nearly every year. So he talked about the seasonality of inventory, which is totally expected because he uses the phrase every year.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it was only unexpected by Wall Street again. But who
or
knew
just someone needed to write an article.
But maybe Lawrence is wrong about the inventory because who knew you'd have someone holding 7,000 houses want to get those houses on the market.
Yeah. So that's going to, even if they, 7,000 over the next 6 months is 1,000 listings a month that are going to be coming to the market.
Yeah. That's a pretty big increase.
Huh.
All right. So the next article, we're going to cover these really fast, guys, because I know y'all got things to do here. So that was talking about the mortgage rates going up and causing pending home sales to fall. Here's the article from today. Mortgage rates fell slightly, but weekly finance demand couldn't recover.
So next week.
So next week, watch for it.
Pending home sales go up because of lower interest.
Yeah. A slight reprieve from rising mortgage rates did nothing to invigorate the mortgage demand. Total mortgage application volume fell 3.3% compared to the previous week.
And then it's going to say something about refinance went blah, blah,
yeah.
blah.
This is Joel Kahn.
Kahn!
That's the NBA's economist, Mortgage Bankers Association chief economist. He said mortgage rates decreased for the first time since August as concerns about supply chain bottlenecks, waning customer confidence, and weaker economic growth and rising inflation push Treasury yields lower. Again, purchase activity continues to be held back by high prices and low for sale inventory, which that could shift. That could have a huge shift here. All right.
We're literally predicting news cycles at this point, Ray.
It is what we do. All right. And then we'll mention two things. We got two more things to cover. Forbearance rates. Forbearance rates declined. No.
Oh.
It declined.
Oh, that's surprising that they declined.
Who it says who?
I don't know.
Forbearance rates declined 2.15%, which we've been predicting a long time. According to the latest report from the Mortgage Bankers Association, the previous week, the rate dropped 7 basis points to 2.21%. So just over 1 million homeowners are still on forbearance plans. The survey included the data on 36.7 million loans serviced as of October 24th. And with so many borrowers having reached the end of their 18-month forbearance term, we expect a steady pace of exits in November. So it still should continue to go. And then, the reports were from the Forbearance Crash Bros. The reports were that's when the money runs out, all these foreclosures will hit the market. And you will see that happen, but it's for a different reason. You guys remember that the foreclosure moratorium also ended. So more and more foreclosures are being worked through and will be hitting the market that should have already been on the market in the last year and a half. It's not necessarily related to the forbearance ending, but prepare for those predictions as people are going to say, forbearance money's out. Now you see all these foreclosures hitting. This is all the same thing. This is related. I don't think that's related at all. And Logan Matashami backs me up with, he's a Housing Wire economist there. Justin Conago says, Ray's shirt is straight fire. Thank you, Justin.
So, all right. I actually found an article, if I can read it real quick. Ray, I sent it to you if you want to display it.
There's no possible way for me to get to it, but
okay, don't worry about it. It's a quick one, real quick. I just wanted to say, and this is from, is there a date on this one? This is from October 27th. Foreclosure rates fall for all 50 states in September 2021. So the number of U.S. properties with foreclosure filings in September was 19,000, according to Adam data, which we always take with a grain of salt for some reason because someone didn't like them.
We actually had several comments about Adam data. That's why.
But this is up roughly 102% from September last year when foreclosure activity remained low due to the Rona-related moratorium on foreclosures. The current administration final extension of the moratorium on foreclosures ended July 31st. So I wanted to read this part. So it's also worth noting that foreclosure filings increased approximately 24% from August to September this year. This is on the heels of roughly 20% increase in foreclosure filings that occurred between July and August. And now here's where the foreclosure crash bros just get owned. So despite these notable monthly increases, along with a substantial uptick compared to a year ago, foreclosure filings remain well below pre-Rona levels. Foreclosure activity is expected to continue to increase over the next few months. However, so
it seems like it has to, because there's basically a back order of foreclosures. They don't want them all to hit the market at the same time, because then they'll have a Zillow situation in which they're doing massive price drops on all of their inventory.
But it's still lower than pre-pandemic levels. And everyone can say, oh my God, there's 20% increase. We're all going to die. But it's still lower than pre-Rona levels. So
Maria Script says, so what do you think that will actually mean to inventory? So when foreclosure stuff hits, I think it's going to be good. But one of my questions is, what's the average condition of all this inventory that's hitting? Because if it's in really bad shape, then it's going to be tough for someone buying their first home, doing an FHA loan, to acquire that property. Even though a lot of the government loans like FHA, VA, USDA are going to get preferential treatment in the bidding process, I think it's still going to be rough for them to acquire it if the government or banks or whoever's holding the property management company doesn't do something to improve the condition of the home to a point where an FHA loan would actually qualify for it. Same thing with VA. If they're not out there putting in handrails and stuff, they don't have a chance. So,
but and
I
also
think,
remember,
but it's going to really help a lot of investors that haven't been able to pick up stuff in some of the major markets because of the inflated prices. As those hit, I think it's going to be great for them. So I think you'll see way more, there's 3 or 4 types of distress. And I think you're going to see way more condition distressed investors get really happy about seeing the foreclosures hit. It's condition and personal distress.
It can just help inventory, which we've needed more inventory for a long time. But also we need to remember that we're 20% up, so it's technically or essentially someone that may be underwater. They've made 20% on their home in the last year. So it's very possible they can avoid a foreclosure and just sell it outright and hopefully make a little bit of money instead of going into foreclosure.
Dusty said that's true. I haven't bought an auction since 2017. And Maria said that's what Fannie and Freddie did in 2008. They fixed up the properties. Yeah, I've seen more banks doing that lately, where they're at least putting lipstick on the pig. They're replacing the floors, they're painting the houses, they're cleaning it.
Yeah,
and it's not just total. It's not a total dump. So, all right, let me see what else. Oh, the last article, and this was just kind of an interesting topic for discussion or thought. Let me put it up here. Keller Williams is launching a real estate school. And as you guys know, our whole premise of what we do is brokerage agnostic. We don't really take sides. We just tell you guys the news like it is, in part because, it's the whole code of ethics thing. But the other reason is because we want to be true to actually being an outlet for news that all you guys can come to. And so I want to read a little bit about this and then just have a short discussion in general. The KW School of Real Estate will be fully digital and launched in partnership with education firm Kaplan. They announced Tuesday, they teamed up with the education firm, launched a new digital real estate school. Program will be known as KW School of Real Estate, or K-SCORE. K-SCORE, according to the company's statement, it will offer state-specific pre-licensing curriculum for would-be agents. Participant will complete that curriculum and go into the brokerage of their choosing. So it's not necessarily, you're not like signing up for KW.
No, but it's a great funnel for that.
Yeah, I mean, you would think it's a great funnel for it, where they could attract new agents who are coming right in.
So I would say, because Ray has a different take than I do on this, but I would say this is a great idea, a great tool for what they already do. Their team leaders already recruit like crazy and get incentives for recruiting. And part of their big recruitment tactic is that they say, hey, we have the best training. You're going to get unmatched training when you join Keller Williams. So I think this is just another tool to funnel a bunch of new agents. And if I can predict the future, I would say look for their numbers to grow in the next, whenever this takes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I said, yeah, for sure.
Look for their numbers to grow over and we're not talking about the ghost agents, which we covered on the show a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. I remember Gary's ghost agents.
Yeah. I remember the Gary's ghost agents. But look for their numbers to grow. I wouldn't say their actual transactions will grow though. Although they do say that this is, in the article, I think you covered it. It says you learn how to pass the exam to get your license. You don't learn how to be an agent. They say, right. And I would question this part. We're going to teach you how to be an actual agent, but they did. I started with KW and it was great training up front. Taught me how to be an agent. I've learned a lot more since moving on, but to start there, I got a good foundation of being an agent. So I would predict their numbers are going to grow quite a bit in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad idea. It's something that we kind of explored as a real estate brokerage. Should we partner some way with a new school? Should we do something that makes it more accessible for more people to have some kind of education that gets them, not just like, here's how to pass a test, but here's how to make it in the industry, whether you choose our brokerage or someone else's. And ultimately, we kind of leaned on like social media. Like there's a lot that we could do on social media that would teach some of those same principles and then leave the educating to the schools. But when I was talking with someone, we talked about not wanting to seem like we called it a puppy mill, right? Yeah. Where, like, let's say you have top agents that are eloquently winning listing presentations in luxury markets around the country, and you've got a really great top team, but suddenly the persona of the brokerage shifts to a brokerage for new people. And when that happens in a market,
Right.
those top tier agents don't necessarily like to stick around, because it also makes them feel like people are looking at them as, oh, they must be new, or they must be. So it was a question in general that we were talking about on the show prep show is, what's going to happen in the marketplaces in which Keller Williams does this? Will other companies start to kind of circulate that, oh, are you sure that you want to go to a place where all the new agents go? Is that going to be the persona that they take on? Will they be able to thrive with that? Or will they lose some major top producers to these companies that kind of lend themselves to be more friendly to the top tier teams? So that's just something to watch for. It's going to be an interesting exercise in strategy.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean,
I think it's a no-brainer.
I like having a brokerage involved in some of these schools. I would like to see more brokers get involved, not just one brokerage, because I think there can be a lot of value added to real estate agents that have been around the block coming in and giving some advice and taking like question and answers and things like that. So I don't know, we'll see what happens with it, but we wanted to bring that up. I think it's great to make it more accessible to more people. It's also going to mean more real estate agents going into the business. What does that mean for, the iBuying and the programs and, the Redfins and the salaried agents and the Caldwells and Century 21s and all that? We'll wait to see.
Yeah. I mean, it is, the other side of it, I believe, is Gary Keller saying, hey, look, we've always said we have the best training in the business. Now we're making a school based on it. So
right. Now let's partner with and Kaplan's a good training company. I mean, they do a lot of great stuff like that. So I think they're looking to partner with another company that's got the technology and information. And no doubt, no doubt it's a recruiting funnel for them, but
100%. And now I can't wait to see all the new agents posting hashtag K-score.
K-score. D Jones says, doesn't Weichert have a school? I don't know.
Aren't they the ones that have a comma in their name? Right. Weichert, comma, realtors.
I think we're all supposed to do that, aren't we?
Oh, well, dang it.
But wait, can you have, I don't think you can do that. Someone else, no, you can't have the destination. That's what it was. Someone got their hand slapped. They were like in North Carolina, comma, realtors. And they're like, no, you could say your name, but you can't say the place where you serve.
That's ridiculous.
On the YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So on a disappointing note, Dan, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Cash App. Just go over there. A little money sign, then D letter rocks, DLUDWIGROCKS. Buy me a drink. I would appreciate it.
Buy me a drink.
Because I'm unashamed. I say this every week now. I'm unashamed about asking for this. Ray and I make zero money at this, and all I'm asking for is a free beer. That's it.
We got big plans. Big plans.
But D letter rocks, DLUDWIG. How do I spell it? DLUDWIGROCKS everywhere. Go follow me on the Instagram.
Yep.
And I do have to say, follow me here on Clubhouse as well. If you're listening, I appreciate that. But unfortunately, I'm not going to follow back anymore. I'm following 69 people currently, and that's where I'm staying. So
nice. All right. So you can find me at Razorback. That's RAYZORBACK on the Instagram. Appreciate the follow there. Also check out the most recent reel. I think it'll sum up what a lot of real estate agents are feeling. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. Please leave a positive review there if you've enjoyed the show. If you don't enjoy the show, I can tell you about some other shows to check out. So thank you guys for thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.